Hello there. How are you doing? How are you managing this very powerful time? I know 2025 has not been an easy year, and I really wanted to acknowledge you. Each of you out there who is somehow continuing to say yes, to get back up, no matter where you have fallen, how hard you may have fallen. Here you are again. You're getting back up and somehow taking the next step forward, even if you had already stumbled backwards like 10 steps. Thank you so much for being here and for doing whatever it is that is your particular work in the world. This calling that you have, that's coming from your soul, even if you don't know, and you probably don't know exactly where that is taking you. May just be an inkling, may just be this little glimmer, this feeling, this sense. And yet, you're taking those steps forward into that unknown, into the mystery, and allowing that to be your guide. I really want to thank you so much for being here today. And in this video, I do hope to ground you in to the current energies, the energies that we've been moving through as we complete this Scorpio new moon cycle that began November 19th and 20th, depending where you live in the world, and this new cycle that is starting December 19th, December 20th with our Sagittarius New Moon. What the heck has been happening? Why has it been happening? Why you might have been getting particular initiations that have been especially bringing you back into your power. And what you might expect going forward for this new moon cycle ahead that's beginning at this end of December and taking us into January. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you as well for your patience in these video updates that I've been doing. I haven't quite gotten the website complete yet, but it's getting there. It's like I really just need a couple days. Not just the craziness of the holidays and all the things. I'm sure many of you are busy with that in your life. So it's quite a navigation that we're having to do with this inner healing journey, these initiations that we're being called into. Then there's balancing regular life and paying the bills and laundry, which I'm going to do as soon as I'm done with this recording. Right? And then there's the holiday stuff if you celebrate. So there's a lot that's happening. So again, I want to acknowledge you because you're doing this balancing act beautifully, even if it doesn't feel like it. And I am right there with you, balancing that too. If you are new to this channel, my name is Christy Whistler. I am an evolutionary astrologer. But I'm more than just an astrologer. I do more than just read the astrology to you, explain what's happening and why. What I do, what I hold, is how to take this information and then how to heal with it. This information that is coming from nature, which is astrology, is a guide map. But then how do you take that information and work with it? To sit in these unconscious, uncomfortable experiences, initiations, and then heal through that process. This journey of returning back to wholeness. And some of my realizations this moon cycle is this is a rare gift. And most astrologers don't hold that. Even ones who've been practicing for 30 years with these great teachers. This journey into the darkness, this sitting with all parts of ourselves, this holding of all parts of ourselves is a very divine feminine energy. And most people don't hold it. I do. And I hope through my sharing of my stories and my experiences, you get to see that and feel that for yourself. And I really want to encourage you, whether you're listening to me or anybody else out there, even just one of those little, like short memes about astrology. Let go of the astrology lingo, the language, and tune into the frequency. Tune into the energy. Does it feel right to you? Is it landing with you? Can you take that astrology that someone else is sharing and apply it to your life? That's what I'm really hoping to do for you in these videos. I'm going to give you the astrology. I'm going to give you the energy and the frequency. I might share some stories, all to help you connect those dots within yourself and how it can apply to you, how you can work to alchemize what this is to help you on your journey of returning back to wholeness, of no longer reacting from these unconscious parts and stories, old traumas and wounds, but instead coming at them from a more healed, integrated space. That is the work that I hold. It's the work that I do in all of my offerings, not just the astrology readings, also my intuitive readings, channeling messages from spirit, and of course the quantum healing. So if any of that applies to you, please go check out my website, which is still the old site, but in the process. I'm hoping the new year that way forward will be open for me, but you can find it at chrissywhistler.com. Oh, so now let's just go ahead and start to tune into what has been happening with the energy. And it has been a lot. And I would really love for those of you who are saying yes to your healing journey, please let me know in the comments. What has your experience been? Is anything that I'm about to say here resonating for you and what you have been navigating, you have been going through? All of 2025, but most especially this fall time period in particular, has been a pressure building experience. This experience of really going through it, like you are in the tumbler of life, of life, in all of life, this full spectrum experience of life. Rug getting ripped out from under you, having to really look at and within yourself. It could be financial insecurity and instability as well. What is it that you're here to do in the world? What is your work? Real tumbler experience that through this, we are being initiated into the diamonds that we are. Now, this is only for those of us who are choosing to say yes, to sit with and to look at all that we really don't want to see. These uncomfortable bits and parts of ourselves, to initiate conflict, to step into our power, even if it's not something you want to do. You want to stay more in the background, more hidden. That's your default. And yet you're just like, oh, okay, fine. I guess I have to do this. Like there's something within your soul that says, shit, I gotta go do this thing. I don't want to do it, but I need to do it. That's very much been this 2025 experience, especially fall time. It's like crunch time in a way. We're really being shaped because we are meant to hold this new frequency, this new blueprint of what is coming next. And 2026 really going to start February, and from there it's going to open. So it's not going to be like, oh, February, great, we got our answer. I mean, maybe that would be great, but it's not just going to be like a one-off thing. Again, think of it that like an unfolding rose. There's something new that is opening here. But to get to that space has been this question of what within you do you need to see that needs to be shed, purged, let go of, so you can hold that space and that frequency for whatever it is that is your calling. Whatever it is, the thing that only you can do. This Scorpio new moon, this moon cycle, has been very much a theme of reclaiming our power, Scorpio. And yet, we need to go deep into the depths, deep into the underworld to shine a light on those icky, uncomfortable things, to let them go so we can be changed and transformed for this new rebirth, this phoenix rising from the ashes. Like that's who we are. But we actually have to die first, right? You have to go through the whole process. We can't just skip to like, yay, it's the Aquarian age and it's all great and yay, sunshine, roses. You might be hearing some of that within the spiritual New Age community. We can't skip this part of death. We can't skip over it. We have to sit within it. Some as well, some of the themes has been this reclaiming of our voice. Again, this needing to stand in power, to anchor in to this deep knowing of who you are and to hold it there. I've been hearing from particular people in female bodies that this has been a really, really big theme, which of course makes sense, just given the nature of our patriarchy world. That doesn't mean it's only limited to women. I've just been hearing it more from women, that this has been a really big theme. But it's very much been this rising up, reclaiming our power and our voice, in a very strong, grounded way. This realigning back to natural law, to the divine feminine who has been oppressed and repressed for thousands of years. You may have found that this month you've been needing to be a soul detective. Going into the depths to find out who you really are. And this reorientation, as you shed the old stories and the old masks, it's like, this is actually who I am. This is my power. This is my voice. So let me know if some of those have been your experiences this month. We have been in a grand water trine. It's been active for weeks now, and we're finally starting to move out of it, although the Black Moon Lilith energy is still triggering it. But it's very much been this, you can think of it like this, again, this triangle, this trinity that's taking us from our emotions. What is it that we are feeling? And through those feelings, it is reconnecting us back to our soul. But again, you need to be a soul detective to do that, to go follow your feelings, get to that basement level of who you are. And if you're willing to do that, there's been this real opening to release any illusions, delusions that have been separating you, your soul, from God, from Goddess, from the Divine Mother. And in doing so, how powerful you actually are. Again, what are the masks that you have been wearing that have been keeping you from seeing that power that you hold, that you already have within you, and yet you believed you weren't powerful, or you were small, you had to be in the background, kept hidden, your voice didn't matter. What you had to say and what you were saying didn't matter. There's no value and no worth in what it is that you hold. That has very much been this deep realization for me. Coming into a space and being presented with the mirror opposite of me, and the energy, the attacks, it was like, whoa, wow, I thought this person was beyond me because they'd been doing this thing longer, but they don't even know what it means to hold a safe space, to actually listen to the person speaking, as opposed to constantly interrupting, pushing the conversation ahead again and again and again, and not allowing me to have the space to speak. What that person demonstrated was a reflection of our world, of this being overly dominated by the yang energy, the masculine, as opposed to this holding of the divine feminine, to sit, to truly listen, to allow the other person to speak. Through that experience, I was like, wow, I really am holding something that is valuable, that not everyone knows how to do. It's not about age or how long someone's been doing something. It is the question of, do they embody it. And even for you, maybe you've only been doing something for a couple months or a few years compared to someone who's been doing it for 20 or 30. It doesn't mean that they're doing it better than you. Again, that's the whole patriarchy way of thinking, that hierarchy. And boy, in this particular conversation, hierarchy and power was being thrown around a lot with no acknowledgement, no acceptance of what was really happening. So for me, it was my realization that I was wearing a mask, preventing me from seeing how powerful I am. But for others, again, it could be, are you so high up on your pedestal that you cannot see the reflections that others are bringing to you? That you are not as powerful as you think you are. And you actually need that humility check. South Node in Virgo. Some of us need to get brought down a couple pegs to see where we are in the scheme of things, right? And others of us have brought ourselves so low that we need to stop it. And we actually need to see and acknowledge and value who we truly are. So it's very interesting. Again, we're really looking at this through this lens of polarity, and that will continue to sharpen into next year. But one of the ways you're really going to see this polarity, see this difference, is where it comes to truth, authenticity, and being in actual integrity. And the best way to know if someone is in authenticity, is in integrity, is through what you feel. That's Jupiter in Cancer right now, who's been activating part of this grand water trine. Your feelings are going to be your key. Listen to them. Listen to that intuitive feeling, knowing how it feels in your body. You know, during this particular conversation at one point, I felt myself completely tense up. It was like I could feel my body was like getting ready for battle. And I'm like, wow, okay, what's going on here? Why am I suddenly reacting in this way? It was because I was actually being attacked. You know, my body went into defense just from the person's energy and frequency. And it took a few moments to translate what their words were actually saying and doing, but I could feel it first in my body. And I really want to invite you, whatever power that you're holding, whatever experience, because there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of things that are happening in our world that are not okay, that are causing actual harm. There is a need to stand up. How that looks like, how that's shaped is going to be dependent on each of you, your life, what's going on. You know you. When you are called to stand, to hold that strength, that boundary, do so from a place of grounded love. And anchor in there. You can still say no and be loving. You can still say no and hold compassion to that person and whatever it is they're going through to have created this reality, to have those reactions, to do those things. That's going to be really important to stay in our heart space. especially coming into 2026, things are going to be getting a lot louder as they crumble. So just keep that in mind, that that's where you want to meet these energies. When and if there is a need for you to meet them, you want to hold right in there, right in your heart. Now, before I go on to speak about the Sagittarius New Moon that's coming up, I really just want to take a moment to acknowledge and to witness the tragedy that has happened in Australia with the mass shooting. This is very interesting. The mass shooting against the Jewish people, and I believe that 11 were killed, more injured. And I'm filming this on December 14th. December 13th, we had a shooting at Brown University, and several people were killed there. So I just want to take a moment to acknowledge these tragedies, the deaths that have occurred, as well as, again, this you can feel that pressure building, this people coming to the breaking point with whatever their experiences have been. This is part of the larger story with the Saturn, Neptune, balsamic. There's parts of our world that are not okay, that are incredibly broken and are breaking people. And so there is this experience of the intensity. Again, this need for our hearts to be broken open so we can remember who we are as human beings. To remember our compassion. And that despite how different we may look, how different our cultures are, we are still one and the same. We are one humanity. And it is very sad that it can and sometimes needs to take tragedy for us to remember that as a collective. So I just wanted to take that moment to acknowledge all that pain and all that suffering that is happening everywhere around the world right now. And this is going to be part of the story that's unfolding. This is part of the Sagittarius energy, has to do with our beliefs. What is the purpose of life? What is my purpose? What is your purpose? This is about ontology, where we fit in the larger scheme of life, of this great weaving that we are all part of. That's what the higher octave of Sagittarius is asking us. As opposed to its lower energy, its lower frequency. There is only one way. There is only one God. If you are white and you are a man and you have Christian values, then you are of the superior race. I'm using some examples right here. Those kind of one-way thinking, or even like here in the States, our school system is very like, this is the roadmap of what schooling and education should look like. And if you don't fit that timeline, you're broken. There's something wrong with you. Instead of acknowledging that we're actually having a diversity of experiences, that there are many truths, There's not just one God. There's many. And there's many different lenses and perceptions of what that relationship to the source, this creation of all, actually is. So Sagittarius is really planting a seed. A very powerful seed is being planted December 19th, 20th, depending on where you live in the world. This new moon is the same day that 3I Atlas, the comet, will be closest to the Earth. And then just 1 or 2 days later, we will have our winter solstice, which is this next cycle until we get to the Aries equinox. So this new moon is not your ordinary new moon. It is an invitation to go into the truth, to be open to exploring truths that are greater than ourselves or even our own narrow beliefs. This is a real opportunity to realign and return to natural law. And most especially, this divine feminine way of being that has been so greatly suppressed and repressed in our world, our societies, that we each have within us these patriarchal conditionings. Earlier, I gave the example of being constantly interrupted, talked over, not having the space to actually finish what me or my friend was saying. Those examples are a patriarchal way of acting. As opposed to sitting, listening, and giving the person across from them who they may not agree with the space and the chance to speak. Have you been having any experiences like that? Is it coming more pronounced in a way where you can't let it go anymore? You actually have to stand up and speak. You can't just allow it to be swept under the rug anymore. That instead there's that calling. Again, to stand, to claim power, to speak. All right, so coming back to this new moon, it's going to be at 28 degrees of Sagittarius and 24 minutes. So go ahead and see where this new moon is falling in your chart. If you don't know and you would like to have a greater understanding of what this new moon cycle is bringing in for you, please reach out. I do offer the astrology birth chart readings to help you know what's coming and how to navigate these soul learning experiences that you will be having, I will be having, in each of us our own unique ways. So just know that that is available for you. Okay. So what's so powerful about this new moon in particular is it's going to be conjunct the galactic center. And what is that? Well, galactic center is the divine feminine herself. She is the center of our galaxy, this black hole right in the middle. A galactic womb space that's going to be bringing in things that we cannot see coming. because it's not of our world. This is very multi-dimensional energies. You may find that this moon cycle ahead, you're having extreme psychic sensitivities coming online in ways you've never experienced before. It can maybe even surprise you. Telepathy, being able to sort of see around corners, because if you think about a black hole, it doesn't exist by our laws of gravity. It's this complete inverse. Again, this blending of time and space. We're going beyond this moment in time with this new moon. Very, very galactic. Gee, isn't that interesting that 3i Atlas is here right as well, right? So anything is on the table. Anything and everything is a possibility. So if you can, take time to be in stillness, to be in silence, to see what it is this new moon is bringing in for you. Have a very clear intention for whatever seed it is that you are planting, that you are here to explore and to find out what it is. Now, this new moon is also conjunct the dwarf planet Varda. She is at 29 degrees of Sagittarius, and she is a beautiful energy. If you're familiar with Tolkien's Middle-earth or Lord of the Rings, that's where she is coming from. Her lower expression can be about what are the fictional stories that you are telling yourself, especially if it means hiding your light, your brilliance, and your inspiration. Varda is here to do is to shine a light for us during these very dark times. She is bringing hope and inspiration. The light shines the brightest when the world is at its darkest. Are you that light? Is that who you are meant to be right now? And what stories are you telling yourself that are preventing you from being and claiming that brilliant light, who you are? And you may find, again, new sensitivities, new psychic awareness for your light can be coming online beginning at this new moon. So be aware, be very aware, and see what is coming for you. Now, this new moon also has Mars. Mars is at 3 degrees of Capricorn, so just past Varda. This is going to be our energy, our drive. And just sort of bringing in a little bit with the square that's happening with Neptune in Saturn to this new moon. Don't let the astrology lingo get you caught up. I'm putting it out there so eventually it'll seep into your consciousness and you'll understand, but don't get tripped up. That's not the important part. The important part is the energy. So you may find yourself wanting to go in these new directions, but it's not easy to get there. There can be some restriction, some limitation, because Capricorn, Saturn is like, no, we want you to do it right. Put in the hard work, put in the effort so you do it the right way. So just kind of know that there can be some of that push-pull sort of going on. Or again, it could be part of this unfolding journey that opening rose, that flower is bringing you. It may not be go time yet for whatever it is that you're doing. That's probably going to come, as I said, more into February, March, April, definitely early summertime. But those sparks of inspiration, these new ideas that are coming in from, like, again, galactic space itself, can be being planted here at this time. But the actual go, that ignition point might be in a couple of months. So just sort of be aware that there's this little back and forth that's happening. On the other end of it, we have Juno and Venus, also conjunct the new moon. And this is very much having to do with the right partnerships, the right relationships, and even how we are speaking to ourselves. Oh, again, like, it can be kind of this push-pull of finding the right people. And it might be like almost, itchy sweater. Like, they're not quite right, in order to find out who is the right people who can meet you, who can see you. So it can be a bit of a back and forth, finding your way. I mentioned that this new moon is in a square to Saturn, to Neptune. Been speaking so much about those two. So as somebody who has their sun in Sagittarius, which is my Neptune and Sun being square to Saturn, Neptune right now, like, a lot of surrendering. This, again, letting go of what you can't do. Pisces, Neptune. I have no control over this thing that's happening. There is an acceptance with that. Letting that part go. And what is it that you can work with? And working with that. I can feel there's some more things to add, but they're not quite, they're not there yet. So I'll just let that be. This experience is very much about turning us into spiritual masters, if we are willing to do the work. Saturn, your brilliant light. Again, this new ontology, this new purpose. Like, what is your purpose? The thing that you are here to do, your spark that lights you up. What needs to be let go of? What needs to be dissolved so you can do that thing? Or where do you need to see yourself so you can claim that purpose, that meaning of your life? Let me know if that makes sense. We're getting into some big philosophical territory, which is very much Sagittarius energy. All right. What else do I want to say about this? This moon cycle is being ruled by Jupiter in Cancer. Jupiter is retrograde. Jupiter is sitting on top of the planetary north nodes of Saturn and Pluto. So there is a need to return to this very Cancer energy, this divine feminine, the emotions, holding actual safe space, listening to people when they speak. Without judgment, without criticism, you are there in a space of compassion and curiosity, which is emotional intelligence, this very missing medicine of our world. So that is going to be carrying us through this moon cycle. And there can be this first remembering of where we don't have it, of where we are not feeling safe. It is so we can reorientate and create for ourselves what that true safety is for ourselves and for others. And again, there can be that sort of finding the right people. Well, these people can't see me. They can't hold me. They're not safe for me. I need to find who is. And it's that journey that new moon can really be bringing forward for us. There can be a real reminder of our wounds. Again, where we are not allowed to be our unique self. Speaking about the square between Jupiter and Chiron and Eris. Eris is going to be causing discord in our life to wake us up, to not continue those same old bullshit patterns anymore of being a people pleaser, of staying hidden in the background. Oh no, she's going to shake us up. Where we are most wounded, Chiron, is where the light comes through. This is where we can become these great healers and teachers. To be the maverick, to be the pioneer, to trailblaze into the future. But you may, and you probably, I shouldn't even say may, you're going to need to hold yourself in that emotional, safe space first. And pull away from those who cannot. I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's anything else about this new moon. This Jupiter is also in a trine to that Saturn-Neptune energy. The more you can do this returning back to the divine feminine within you, holding yourself in that emotional space, your power, this reconnecting back to God, Goddess, the divine. This is going to be that new way of the new future that's coming. Again, Saturn, Neptune, we have a lot of dissolving that's happening everywhere in our world. The moment these two come together is a seed planting moment all across the world for this whole new cycle that's being born. It's shaping us into being the spiritual masters and teachers who can hold that energy, who can actually hold that emotional frequency that our world so deeply needs. So really be aware of where that theme can be coming forward for you this month ahead and lean into it, especially around the holidays. If what you need is to stay home and rest because you've done too much partying, too much family obligations, you need to say yes to you, your inner child, your emotional needs. Every little act like that is changing the trajectory. It's this ripple effect of change that is actually laying the seeds and the foundations for what is going to be created next on the other side of this dissolving. So be very, very aware of that. This new moon, this winter solstice, is going to be a very powerful moment. Give yourself the space to receive it, to tune in and listen to the lessons that your soul is bringing to each of you. I know that was a lot. I've barely begun to cover the astrology, but I hope that what I've shared is making sense for you and is giving you the grounding and the framework to navigate not only what's happening in the world, but in your own life. So you can see and reflect, this is what I meant to see in this moment. This is what I meant to lean into. Now, before I finish, I'm going to do something a little bit different. I actually pulled some cards. I just felt called to, so I did. And I want to share them. Again, this is another perspective of this guidance that's coming forward, which of course fits perfectly. So the first card is fire and ice. And look at the polarity of that card, fire and ice. And are we not living in a time of such polarity? This is from the Journey of Love deck by Alana Fairchild. You are learning to hold the tension of opposites, of those things that don't immediately seem to go together within your being, without collapsing into confusion, judgment, or denial. There is passion and serenity, creation and destruction, new life and death emerging within you, within your relationships. And sometimes this is hard to handle. Let go of the complexity, and choose one or the other. You are a grand enough soul to be able to withstand the rigors of the depth, to go deep, to live fully. To let the divine have its way through you requires a willingness to stand at the center of the pairs of opposites and eventually know they are connected to each other, that they exist in relationship to each other, to breathe and simply be. If you are experiencing conflict in your life, you are being initiated through fire and ice. Stay present, be patient, and wait. This conflict is a sign of your spiritual growth. You will soon grow larger than the conflict, but for now, you do not need to engage in it. Simply be present to it and allow it to work its way through you until you are strong enough to have outgrown the conflict, giving rise to a clear direction. That pretty much is summing up where we are at this moment in time. There is a need to stand in the center, to see how interconnected everything is. This conflict that we are experiencing in our lives and the world is shaping us into being these spiritual masters. To witness the conflict, to witness the destruction. This card was speaking about the destruction and the rebirth, which is what we are in right now. So how can we in our lives hold that to be an acceptance of what is unfolding, what is coming to be?
Yeah.
Clearing that energy. And then I will end with this card here for you. Within nothing, there is everything. From a point of stillness, so it was one of the things I mentioned at the very beginning is stillness. Be very still and open for this new moon. A complete universe is opening up to you. The galactic center. Okay? What is being opened for you at this new moon conjunct the galactic center? Your every thought and intention sends ripples of consciousness through the universe. What a creative being you are. You are sending consciousness into motion, bringing your creation into being with every inner desire, with every whispered wish. What is really in your heart? Saturn, Neptune, last degree of Pisces. What is in your heart? Open your arms, sigh, speak your heart truth aloud to the loving universe and receive it as your destiny manifesting now. That's the creative tension. The Sun, Moon, Galactic Center, square to Saturn, Neptune, and Pisces. You need to make conscious effort to create this heart desire, this heart truth. Something that you want is on its way to you. It may seem to be coming out of nowhere, no sign on the horizon to give you hope, yet it is coming to you anyway. It is spiritual law that you cannot be denied the manifestation of your heart's desire. Trust and remain open to the tide of universal love rushing toward you, swelling within you now. Just holding that space for you, for your heart truth, your heart desire. What is that seed that you need to plant? To take conscious effort into dreaming. What steps do you need to do? And the faith to trust in what is unfolding, even and especially when our world and our life might look like that. I do hope this was helpful for you. I appreciate you for being here and your patience. Again, if you are needing support, please go to my website, chrissywhistler.com. I still have the old prices, so you can still get onto that deal before the new one is launched. If you found this helpful, please give this video a thumbs up. Please like, please subscribe. Really does help me so much. Thank you all for being here, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.